Yeah, good morning all. I'm Dr. Deepika, Assistant Professor and Chief Supply Coordinator, KIT CIII Institute of Technology. We welcome you all for Grooming for Industry Ready Engineers webinar organized by KIT CIII, Center for Industry and Institute Interactions. I'd like to convey my heartfelt gratitude to our Vice Chairperson, Ms. Indi Venkateshan ma'am, for encouraging us to conduct more events from CIII, and Director Mr. Vasan sir, Principal Dr. N. Mohandas Gandhi sir, Vice Principal Dr. M. Ramesh sir, Deans and HODs of various departments. And on behalf of our institution, KIT CIII Institute of Technology, we pleased to have Mr. Bala Murugan, Business Head at Solverminds Technologies Private Limited, Chennai. He completed his bachelor's degree at Bhagirasan University in 1999 and master's degree at University of Madras in 2003. He is having a strong industry knowledge in SDLC, project planning, business analyst, and software development. He is an expert in technologies like Microsoft SQL Server, SQL, Struts, and Java. With this short introduction, I am handing over the session to our guest, Mr. P. Bala.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. I hope you all listening this session. I could see that the session started from 10 a.m. this morning on a Saturday. So I hope that you all could get something out of these sessions. So today I got on a topic which I want to discuss with you about how to make the fresh graduates as industry-ready graduates or industry-ready professionals. That is an area which I'm going to discuss with you. Usually this kind of interaction happens face to face, so we would able to read you, we would able to connect with you very well in terms of answering your questions, and then maybe getting a signal out of out of our explanation how much it makes sense to you, kind of thing. Since it's in a web session, I try my best to share my experience. Maybe 25 years before, I am also started mine as like a fresher, and then over these last 2 decades, I grown in my professional career multi-level from entry-level programmer. Today, I'm heading one of the business unit in the organization I work for. So my experience may add some kind of value to you. That's my expectation out of this session. And it is also something like it's not something I learned somewhere by reading books or so. I practice this. Whatever I'm going to discuss with you today, these are something I practiced or I experienced over these years, which is something like what I see as a kind of large requirement in the industry. Just to start with, I just want to give you a kind of high level outline what I'm going to spend next maybe 45 minutes or so. If we could able to have an interactive Q&A, I guess I'm ready to spend some time on that as well. So you all know that today the IT industry, my background, just to as I got an intro about me, a little bit about me. I've been working in this industry for the last 20 years. Started way back in 2000 after my graduation. I just started as my career as like a faculty in one of the computer training center, and then from there I learned a lot. And then over these years I've been as a programmer, been as a kind of senior programmer, and led a team, led a project, led an implementation. And then over these years now I'm holding in a business unit of 150 plus people who's working on a various project on one particular domain. So maybe this is something I just want to connect it back to what the industry sees, or how the industry works. The industry largely depends on the fresh talents or the fresh graduates who come out of engineering college or on any arts and science college every year. They are the core dependent people for any industry. You name it, whether it's a kind of international companies or it's a kind of domestic startup, or it can be any type of industry. It largely they depend on the fresh graduates who come out of engineering and arts college every year. But if you really see how what is the life cycle or what is the journey it takes or it takes to convert a fresh graduate to an industry-ready professional, it is sometimes it goes years. Not everything is ready to use, kind of thing. Today, our expectation is if you buy anything from a shop, the next minute we want to consume it. We want to make that particular product helps us to the purpose we purchased for. So the same way the industry also looks at how an individual who joined in my company as an employee, how the individual could able to add a value as soon as possible. Today, the journey to convert a fresh graduate to an industry-ready professional, it takes, I would say minimum 6 months. The minimum 6 months are something I can say, keeping the expectation very low. Largely, it takes, an individual to become one of the workforce in the organization. It will be largely takes a minimum in a year. And then to be a kind of value addition in the team or value addition in the organization, sometimes it takes 2 years of time, so that the individual who joined as a fresher would able to be a value added resource in the organization. In the sense, like, there will be a kind of potential growth for an individual, potential growth for a company once the fresher joined in the company as a fresher, and then in 2 years time they would able to add a value to that level. So the idea here is, I think now every engineering college or every college, every university taken this pain point and trying to address how they can shorten this journey. Idea here is, it will be kind of beneficial both sides. The fresh graduate who joined in the company will also, would able to grow in his career ladder faster. At the same time, the company who hired the individual would also able to get a benefit out of the individual. So the whole industry is taken this as one of the key pain point, and they started addressing it in terms of how to shorten this journey, or how to speed up this journey, or how to make the engineer who pass out of as a fresh graduate, how to equip them with the components or properties needed for an industry. Most of my points or most of my experience may go very much on the IT industry, but this is something I could see as a kind of is the same pain point applicable to any type of industry, whether you are in computer related one or a mechanical one or electronic or even something on arts and science. In all areas it's something very common. So as a part of this initiative of making the fresh graduate to be an industry ready professionals, I want to give you a kind of some areas which may help you over this next few years before you pass out of your college. So what is your foundation? You first need to know where you are. What is your foundation? So I'm going to talk about what is your foundation during this graduation, or when you are doing this undergraduation or a post graduation, depends upon the stream you taken. What is your foundation? What you have with you, and how should you focus on that? And then also I want to give you a little bit about what industry wants. It's again, there is a plus and minus on what industry wants, and not everything you are going to make it ready on a day one, but you should know what industry wants and how to get groomed. How to make yourself as a groomed individual, where you can have a much easier access than somebody who go raw engineer, who needs lot of grooming, lot of fine tuning before the individual gets into a kind of value added workforce. And what are opportunities? Like mainly this, I'm going to talk from the IT industry point of view. I could largely see, or when I was graduate in late 90s, mine was more into like, the only thing I know about IT industry is being a software programmer, or there's a software engineer or software programmer is the only a division of IT I know about it. So I didn't know anything about it. Maybe if I also exposed to other areas, my preparation towards would be much easier, or that is something also another opportunity to gain a easy access to a large company, or easy access to get into a kind of payroll of any company. And also I'm going to give you some kind of tips. These tips are largely again, it's again how you can market yourself as a fresh graduate. How you can market yourself, which is something, even if I get on a profile today, I do some kind of sanity check. What the sanity check is, how you can how you can make yourself bright in those areas which will easily help you to look as a star when somebody do such a check for you. And if you have any questions, I'm ready to answer it. That's something I'm going to cover as a last item. Just to start with your foundation, what is your foundation? So today you would have all of you done 12 years of your schooling. and then you joined in this engineering college, and this engineering college given you an ecosystem which helps you to get one of the foundation, which is your engineering curriculum. So they have a lot of research in it. It's not just in a college. The associated universities and then the experts, domestic customization done on a curriculum. These are something one of your strong foundation or a core foundation, which is something you all been trained, personally by your professors and lecturers, and that is one of your core foundation. You need to be good in your core foundation. I'm not expecting everyone in your class should be a top class. That would be too much expectation if I say so. But you should be good in it. What you are learning as your engineering curriculum, it's not going to explicitly applied in your day-to-day professional life. But these all will be used in an implicit manner. It's very difficult to point out, okay, how can you correlate me the subject I learned in second semester is being used in my professional life. But these are like your stepping stone. The stepping stone will help you largely, but it doesn't show as an explicit item. These are an implicit item. So whatever the curriculum set in your college, make sure you are good in that. That is something, one of your core foundation. That core foundation should be strong. If you make your foundation strong, it is very easy to construct as high as possible, as much as you want. And another important thing today, everything runs around how good you are in communication. I know I myself I had experience where I couldn't do good in a place where my communication is not that good. I could able to see two fresh graduates who one excelled to a multi-level, another guy who's equally talented but he couldn't excel much because of the lack in communication. He couldn't communicate well in terms of his ideas, in terms of answering the questions, or in terms of accommodating himself into a communication or in a discussion, in a debate, or even if you want to differ something. Because of lack in communication, he couldn't really differ with the idea. He's blindly been following that, because that's something, one of the large hurdle for the fresh graduates. I believe that these are something these are something would have changed large, but still I could see that if you are good in communication, that would definitely help in any layer you are. So as a part of your college days, just make sure your communication foundation also equally taken care. That the easiest way is be part of be part of every activity happens in your college, whether it's a intercollege competition, or maybe a department competition, or even any kind of competition happens where be part of it. So that will help you to large extent extend your communication skill. And another important thing, when I did my graduation, this was a state, or this was a pain point, or this was a problem I observed with my friends during college days. Uh, they don't see things as a logical thinking. Especially when you are in IT, your logical thinking is a base. What programming language how good you are in Python, how good you are in C++, Java, Angular, React, that doesn't matter. Okay, everything being constructed under the foundation of logical thinking. So the logical thinkings are something like a core, and it is not something you need to get trained with a kind of explicit training material kind of thing. It is about like asking a question, you'll get an answer to it. Okay, and then sometimes if you see 10 different logical thinking solutions, you would able to make your own logic for the 11th problem. Okay, so focus on your logical thinking. Don't go any program you write as part of your practical exams, by just recalling everything as what you learned, memorizing everything as what you written in your notebook or in your, whatever record book. That is not going to help you. It may help you greatly to even score 100 mark in your practical exam. But to be a kind of to be a person taking this computer as a computer programming as a profession, then there you may not be able to excel. So focus on your logical thinking. So logical thinking, I got few ideas how you can do it. You can simply read or go through the programs which is already available, written by your seniors, written by your fellow classmate, or even if something available on the internet, just go through the program. If you deconstruct the program, how it is written, that itself help you to understand how the logic been constructed. That way you would able to groom yourself in terms of how the logics are made, how maybe you would have written a code of 10 lines. You, by reading some others code where they written it 5 lines, it will help you to revisit your logic. That way you would able to groom your logical thinking as well. So logical thinking is one of the core foundation, one of another core foundation which you need to focus on it. Of course, the other foundation which I would say, that the interest. When I got graduated, I got an equal interest that I have to be, I have to get into a company where I have to write a program. I should need to make an application which is being used by the larger group. So those kind of interests is another foundation. Keep your interest always high. So, and then you all young graduates, you have long way to go. You got all your energy. You can make anything you want. So that youthness, what you have with you, that is another strong foundation. So these are the things which is available at this juncture. So make use of it. And then the exposure what you got from your college. I learned from my other interaction that your college got a center of excellence. Your college got even made some kind of arrangement with the large organizations to have a kind of tailor-made curriculum to get you trained on a particular industry requirement. So these are something you got as an exposure. And even I would say these kind of sessions which has been organized by your college is also an exposure. So these are the exposures which will act as your foundation. I believe the last three are something it is being taken care, or the last two are, I would last one is taken care by the college. The youthness you own by default, and your interest. I always see everyone has high interest to be in a field and make program, or even whatever the industry you are, you be in the field and be as a kind of large workforce to convert ideas into work. The other three, which is about your engineering curriculum, your communication skill, your logical thinking, that's something you need to focus on it. Hold a strong foundation. This strong foundation is going to be the one which is going to help for next 40 years, 50 years, or how many years you would like to stay in this, in the kind of profession which you are choosing. I hope I'm not making a kind of standard lecture you hear at a college, or maybe kind of a waste of time you may feel. If you add anything, let me know, because I can shorten up as much as possible. Okay, what industry wants from the young graduates when you step out of your college and you want to be an industry ready engineer or industry ready professional? What the industry wants? Okay, the very first thing, when I get in a fresher, those days when I conduct an interview for the freshers, I'm not focusing about how good are they in programming language. Most of our technologies on a J2E, Java, Angular, React. We don't go by like whether the individual is good in a technology, whether the individual could able to convert the given requirement as a Java program or C+ program. That was not our first criteria. The first area which we focus on an individual is how good are they in logical thinking. So for logical thinking, we are also not a company. Our company, just to give you a background, it was on a startup in 2003. I fortunate to be a first member joined in this company. So I've been in this company from the beginning, from the time this company was founded. So the way we conduct an interview for the freshers, it's not about being a kind of maybe a large question paper with the logical questions and make them to answer for it. It would be like taking our use case, and from our use case we convert a kind of small logical maybe a kind of logic oriented questions, and then we ask the individual to answer it. Even in that, we don't seek for them to answer in any programming language that would be the latest stage, but we will just want them to express how they would able to apply their logic to solve the problem. So our requirement as IT company, when we onboard any fresher, one of the key area we look at the individual who's joining as a fresher is how good are they in logical thinking. Could they able to deconstruct the given problem into a logical steps? Okay, I do this, I do that, then I'll reach a solution. that is something one of the key area every industry is looking for, as a core skill set from the fresher. So we always conduct the logical thinking related interactions or Q&As with a fresher, and that would be the very first thing. And another key thing which we expect, are they ready to learn? Okay, are they ready to learn? Because what you learned during your graduation or a post graduation, these are, I would say, as a foundation. It is mix of many. Like whatever you learned in the last 4 years, or if your graduation is 4 years, it is not that everything you would able to apply in your work in the same way you learn. Basically, the company needs you to learn what company wants, and every company is ready to teach you. I cannot consume an engineer as it is from the market. I know the engineer is a individual who comes with foundation. We take the foundation. On top of that, we will groom the engineer with the skill we needed for our projects, or the technology we work on, or the product we develop, or the domain we are in. So one of the key area, we look at the engineers who join as a fresher. Are they ready to learn? So this is one area where, when you happen to face this kind of interview, or a kind of session with or a possible opportunity during your campus, show your interest always high. You say that you tell me, even any new technology which is going to be in use in 2 years from now, I'm ready to learn. And good understanding on any programming language. This is again, when I say programming language, of course, it's again, you've been exposed to multiple programming languages, but be good in any one of the programming language. If you are showing your excellence in Java, if my requirement is on even say .NET, I still able to consume it. Because in the fresher, especially when I onboard anybody as a fresher, it is not that everybody meeting my technology or my skill set on the technology level. It is something about how they're capable to write a program in any programming language. So I would say that, if your final semester is on Java J2E or Angular or React, be master in it. Be master in it means I'm not expecting that you would be writing a large industry use application on the day one. But if any problem given, you try to make a very clean code with the standard as what that particular programming language governs, and make it as a kind of, this is a way to write a program. So that way you would be able to exhibit yourself that you are good in writing program in that programming language. And another model we sometimes conduct, especially when we identify the individual is good in logical thinking, we give them a pseudocode. We give them in English we write 10 steps, and we say, this is the 10 steps I'm giving it to you. Can you just convert this 10 steps into a program in any programming language? Even if you are good in making this in C++, do it. But we want to know whether you would able to apply your logical thinking plus converting your syntax into a programming, using the whatever the programming language syntax and writing a code on it. So that is one area where the industry also looks at, whether the individual, especially on the IT side, most of the things I'm talking on IT. If there exists some other department students, please excuse me for that. And keep your, how good your communication skill. This is also one of the area where industry will look at the individual who join. Are they good in communication in terms of, the verbal communication, written communication? That is also another area where the industry looks at. And I would say on top, the core or the foundations, soft skill, or you can say it's the base, which is about how dedicated, how disciplined, how punctual, how reliable, how integral resource. These are the areas where we look at every individual who joins the company. If you ask me whether it differs for a lateral entry or somebody in experienced resource, no, it is not. The bottom line is applicable to anybody who joins in the company at any level, whether they are the topmost director in the company or somebody who joined as a fresher in the organization. This is applied to anybody, to apply to all the level. Communication and all is also applied to all. The other areas and all is mainly for freshers. So you want to make yourself as a industry ready fresher, then there is a area where you need to focus, and you need to understand that you are making yourself ready to that. Now, how to get groomed? Okay, because this is something where your college doing large part. I think as part of that initiative today, you are forced to listen, or you've been exposed to listen this session. Um, Build your strong foundation. The one which I listed under the foundation section, that talks about all the foundation you should have. There are a couple of things which is being covered in the foundation, and I'm also made it explicitly over here. So we hold a strong foundation. That's something very, very key, which is something like, if you lag in that, your entry will be very difficult. Sometimes it is something like, how smart are you? You know what industry wants. If you could able to make yourself align to that industry need, it is easy for you to enter. Once you entered, then you can excel as you want. It's again, once you got an opportunity to work in a live projects or in the industry specific use cases, the company itself will groom you. Your fellow your colleagues will groom you, and you also get exposed to something where you also grow on your own. So build a strong foundation. That strong foundation will make your entry easy. And I'm emphasizing again and again, your communication skill. Your communication is hold in a kind of, I would say, a kind of same as like your technology. The people may say that, look, we were only looking at, we are giving an opportunity to anybody who join as a fresher. We don't, spend much effort on we don't filter much on our communication. But those are something exceptions. The exception do still exist. But I would say large requirement or large filtering or modus of operandi is also on a communication. So focus on your communications. And this is something like, I'm only putting it across for the final year students. If anybody from the final year in this group, choose your area of interest. This is very, very important. Choose your area of interest. Now, over this last 3+ years, you would have, during your graduation, you would have already made your strong foundation. And you also will be doing the same thing for your 4th year curriculum also. But the time you are getting into the project, like you will be doing a project 6 months, that's my understanding, or 3 months. During that time, you need to pick your interest area. Okay, if your interest is on a kind of an ethical hacking, or even in a security audit, or you are a UI UX designer, or UI UX programmer, or you are good in database, choose the area. Okay, in other 3 years you don't have that option, because you are being occupied to fulfill your college curriculum. You've been constantly being driven by your curriculum, and followed by semester exams. But on your final year, you got an opportunity of 6 months where you can do on a project, where you can maybe showcase or exhibit what you learned over this 3 years or 3.5 years. During the time, choose your area of interest and try to excel in that, and that will definitely help you when you are getting into any company where maybe your entry may not happen 100% on the same interest area, but that was something where you would able to transfer from the entry what you got to in another area which you want. But you start that work. What you're doing in a 4th year would help you in down the line, say like maybe 2 years from now or 3 years from now, but that definitely will help. And then it is not that one area is going to remain as an interest area for you. It will branch out. But now you got an exposure of studying computer science for the 3 years or 3.5 years. Now you got an opportunity to pick the area from your 3+ year experience, and then you can excel on that and earn certificates. Okay, you have to focus on getting some certifications. The certifications are excuse me for that. Okay, spell typo over here. Okay, you just get a certifications here. The certifications are something is an additional star in your hat. Okay, just entering into a company or entering into a job interview as like I'm a fresher, pass out in 2021, 22. Then on top you're saying, I'm also so and so certified on whatever the special skill set you are holding on. You can say that I'm certified in like say Angular. I'm certified in React. I'm certified in automation, Selenium testing. I'm a SQL Server certified professional. So those kind of certification will also help you to have an easy access. and that's not something only required at the time of entry. The certification is just not a star in your hat. It is a learning. It is definitely learning. If somebody gets through on a certification, the certifications are not just coming. I would say 90% it is not coming through on a back door. It has always been learned. It has always been learned from. It has always been is an outcome of your learning. So in that case, if you get a certification on any technology or any area of interest, that itself will also groom yourself toward the technology. And now you are, for the students who's in second year, third year, or even for the fourth year students, you hold your own training plan. Okay, I'm sure your college also would have helped you a lot in that area. I had an interaction sometime back with your professors where I learned that there is a focus going individual specific to pick to choose an area of interest. Your seniors are grooming you, your professors are grooming you, lecturers are grooming you. So if you have something like that, it's good. If not, you can build your own training plan. Okay, that's something like you need your training plan. That is just not only for your additional learnings. Even this will help you to excel in your college curriculum as well. You've been always bombarded with your semester exams. Okay, so holding a training plan and then picking an area how you can get yourself groomed or trained, that will largely help you to be a kind of industry ready professional. I can give you some areas which is about now the ecosystem on grooming an individual faster is also exponentially grown over these years. Way back in early 2000s, if you want to learn a new programming language, finding a book itself in a difficult task. You won't able to afford buying such an expensive book or an easy access to see the sample programs. But today, it is something like by spending 500 rupees, you would able to learn kind of the latest technology on a Udemy, or there are a lot more platforms which is even offering a courses free of cost for students. So choose those kind of platforms and then get yourself trained on the latest happening technologies. Okay, this is mainly on an opportunity side. This opportunity side I'm going to largely cover on IT industry, since my background is in IT. um, as I said, when I completed my graduation, the only thing which I know on the IT industry is software engineer or software programmer or a software developer. That's the only thing I knew about IT. And I was like, imagining everything as like, by the time I complete my graduation, I'll go and start writing program which will become an application. That application will be used by a large group of users. But I'm not, maybe it is about the curriculum which I had gone through during the time, but I'm sure you guys are holding an updated curriculum, or I think your exposure would be larger than what I had in my graduation. But today, if you really look at how a software development happening, it's just not just a software engineer or a code writer or a small component in it. It is a kind of big teamwork, and it has a lot of specialization, a lot of opportunities in it to make one program in a company, whether it is a startup or a large multinational company. And there is a multiple layer of work happens. So the opportunities here, I say, you have an opportunity to be a coder, you have an opportunity to be a tester on the code, or being an analyst on the code. You can be even analyst on a security side of the code. You can even make a technical write-up on the code written by the developer. Even sometime today, the industries are going almost like a kind of factory model, where the factory model says like, I will have a scripted requirement which I'll give it to the coder. The coder is expected to convert my scripted requirement into a program in any programming language. It is almost like a kind of an industry practice, where all the research and development happens outside, and they make a prototype and they know the steps how to convert the prototype into a product, and that is being given to the field engineers, where the field engineer follow the instruction without really putting any logic in it. They'll say follow the instruction as what been given in the production guideline, and they start producing it. Same way, now the technical writer and all holding a large scope in that. They being a part of requirement discussion, they've been part of brainstorming a solution, and then they are finally scripting how the solution should be arrived, and that's been given to the programmer to program with a given technical writer. And then on other side, if you're not good in programming, or you're not interested to be in a programmer, you want to monitor the network, or you want to be in the infrastructure side of the IT, which is about you're managing your firewall, managing your network devices. And today it also extended is horizon to many level. It's like earlier, it's like one individual who act as a kind of multitasking individual, who been a programmer, who been a project manager, who been a network guy, everything. But today there is a kind of a focused specialization on each and every component inside the infrastructure itself. So that itself in a large, I would say that itself is in a large opportunities for upcoming engineers, where they would be able to choose that as well. And then process specialists. Today, especially if you are in a small startup, you don't give any damn about process. Okay, everybody thinks sits together and start making a code, but that and all will work only when you are in a startup mode. When you are moving from a startup size to a mid company or large size company, you need a process. You cannot run everything with the same communication or the same kind of connectivity you hold as a startup when you are a 10-member company. When you grown up as a 100-member company, you may not be able to interact with every individual in the company, so you largely depend on the process. So there are opportunities to be a process specialist. You can pick that area as well. The other area which I largely been grooming over this last, I would say, 5-7 years, it's about UI UX. The UI and the UX is a key. Anything you make which has been rated on how the UI is, how the UX is. If my experience with the tool which I'm using is good, then I recommend it. If I find this tool is difficult to even share my screen, or make my audio clear, then I don't rate anything about it. So the UI part and the UX part is something evolving like anything. Okay, today almost the underlying solution remains same in some of the products or most of the products, which is competing on the same domain, or on the same industry. How it has been packed, how the UI been presented, how the UX been given to the end user, that makes it different. I can name a few, even it applicable to many of the social media as well, where some of them are in the top quadrant, because the way they present the experience is different. So the UI developer or a UI designer or UX developer, UI UX designer is also another area where we can focus on it. And your on other side about being a digital content creator. So this is like this has been largely used nowadays on a non-IT side, but on the IT side also, every application which is built out of the engineering table needs a strong supporting digital content that helps to market, that helps to train the end user, that helps to even make the fresher to onboard on this particular technology, particular domain. So there is maybe the output, what the customers see as the outcome of developing a product is the end product. But to make the end product, there are many layers of work happening inside the company. And earlier, these all been done by one individual as a multitasking. But today, the companies are moving towards having a specialist who been focused only to do one or multiple specialized jobs, not like one person should do everything. So the digital content creator is another area where you can focus, and then web developer, which is like being taken over by UI UX developer, and then a kind of software developer role. A data scientist, the data is something which is exponentially growing. The area on the data specialist, on the machine learning, or the associated things for the particular ecosystem is growing like anything down the line. That is another opportunity where you as a fresh graduate, you would able to hook on, and you would able to grow on that. So you can pick that area. And the database, like the DBA been I would say renamed, and then added additional skill on it, and now they become a data scientist. Being in a database administrator, any application you develop which works on the data store. Every application development needs a strong DBA support. and largely the DBA are sometimes the one who would be deciding how the strategies are to be formed. The strategies are something being arrived during brainstorming with the DBA. They largely help in terms of how to break the data and store the data in a kind of in an interconnected one where it will make the execution faster kind of thing. And then the other areas which are some of us may not know about. There is something called configuration management or version management, which is in a specialized area. There are a lot of tools in it. You may have a lot of programmer, a lot of tester who've been doing a lot of work, but behind them there is a need of strong governance about how the versions been maintained. So there is a specialized area in the IT industry called configuration managers. They are the one who takes care of managing all the versions, and then creating a right branch, merging the branch, alerting the team if anything they find going outside the branch. All those kind of work being done, and that's something is a key, especially for a product companies. If you are weak in the configuration management, then you end up having a lot of production issues. Then on top of that, there is an area where the project managers, or even nowadays they're calling a scrum master, or in many form, technical project manager. It goes in a many variant, but that is also another area where you can envision to be. In the past, when I joined in a company where I was under the impression that someone has to be a software engineer, senior software engineer, project lead, project manager, and that's the way the individual will grow. But that's not the case. Even we do hire people, especially to manage a project. We want somebody to be just a project manager taking care of the project. Again, now over these years, what actually evolved the industry. Earlier, there was a kind of hierarchy in terms of like a chain of command. The project manager is the one who holding all the chains in the team, and then they would able to pull anybody in the company. It's not like that. Today, it evolved like project manager is another individual in the team who's helping out to manage the project. Okay, your quality analyst is another individual in the company who in the product or in the project who helping you to reach the optimum quality out of our development. So it become a flat organization structure, not anymore largely as a kind of a pyramid based pyramid organization structure. Now it is flat. So today in that model, the project manager is also can be an entry level employee who can become a project manager, an associate project manager, and then over the year they can become a project manager. What they need when they have to be a project manager, that's important. How good they are on the project management principles, how they would able to measure the project. If the individual holds that skill, they would able to be an excellent project manager from the day one itself. So these are the opportunities, especially on the IT industry graduates, where I would say that you don't limit yourself to one area, which largely being called as a software developer. Explore. Now this may help you to some extent. I believe that you can choose in other areas. Not everybody to be an excellent a programmer, but I can be a creative UI designer. Okay, I can be in a kind of support specialist. Okay, I would able to manage the configurations of the product. So like you choose the area, and if you want to choose any one of the specialization area, then you need to go back to the previous one I had explained to you. Be master in it. Excel yourself into that area. Own some certification on it. Show to the industry that look, I'm a specialist in UI designer. I'm a specialist in automation testing. I'm specialist in project management. So you make yourself ready towards the area you choose. That will largely help by taking on a course or to taking a certification on that particular area, which makes you ready, or which makes you explicit as an expert in that. Okay, so with that, I just want to share you some of the areas, which is something about how you can market yourself. So for what I said, maybe a little bit standard, and this is also another one I'm going to say in the same tone. You need to market yourself. When you are coming out of the college, from then you will be called as a potential candidate to be a IT professional or in any industry. Whatever industry you are, but some of them very much on the IT. Keep yourself visible in a professional social network or a professional network. Be in a LinkedIn. Create your LinkedIn profile. And when you are in LinkedIn, you just don't, if you look at my LinkedIn, I will be like that. But if you are in LinkedIn, just that your area of interest, be a member of all your area of interest. Be active forum, active member in the forum. If you like somebody, given some approach, somebody sharing some ideas, say like. If you have some opinion about it, add your opinion. Okay, if you find something interesting, you want to share that to your network members, share that in your LinkedIn page. So that way you can build your professional visibility to the prospect HR, or maybe to the prospect company where you're going to be. You can just keep yourself as visible, where they see that yes, this particular individual is active in LinkedIn. You've been following so and so forum. That looks, the individual is interested towards a particular technology, or that person has some knowledge about what blockchain is. So those kind of things you can create. That's a way you can market yourself. Like that, you would have written some code, whether it's a large use case or a small use case, or something you found it is available in your part of your curriculum. If you have some code, share your code in Stack Overflow or GitHub. Have your GitHub page, GitHub profile, Stack Overflow profile. You ask your questions, even if you don't know the answer. Ask your questions, get an answer, be an interactive person in that. So by doing that, you will be visible. These are something not, it is not something you can make it in one day or in 1 month. But keeping something, your record, or keeping your presence in this area for a long time, it also makes you that you are a true professional, interested towards learning new things, and that would be the easy access for you to get into any large companies. Hold as much certification possible. Okay. Of course, these certifications are not coming free of cost. Certification also holds, needs an additional financial commitment from your side. And if you could able to do it, do it. If not today, once you got into a job, just stay on this journey always high. Try to earn as much certification possible. And the certification and all is going to give you its value over the time when you are climbing in your career growth. And then be a member in your developer forum, whichever technology. You are an iOS guy, you like an iOS, or you like an Apple products, be in this all Apple conference. Now last 2 years it happening as a virtual conference. Be a part of that conference. Try to at least listen and get yourself exposed to what's happening in that. There were things which has been told many years back as a kind of a dream, or a kind of I would say, like, uh, nice, good to see in a movie, not to make it reality. But today, many of such things are becoming reality. In 2000, in early 2000, I had attended one of the conferences in Chennai. That was maybe my early days to Chennai, I would say. There were, like, a small video clipping which talks about which shows a small kind of scene where one individual speaks in Arabic, and then it changes the device to another guy, presses a button, it translates everything to English. Okay, this was a kind of small video I have seen in early 2000, and today it's reality. You want to be in wherever you want, you can travel. You don't need to learn the particular language, but still you would be able to communicate effectively. And Google and all made wonderful tools on it, APIs on it. You would be able to consume in your application. Today, the collaboration which has been extended by the large players are also makes your life easy. I don't have to be I don't have to own a server. I can just take an AWS subscription. I don't have to own a optimizer tool. I can take an optimizer subscription from AWS. Okay, there are many tools available as a service. You can just buy a service. If you want to translate even one given English text to an Arabic, or Arabic to English, you can just buy a service from a Google. So like that, in the current industry practice, it's a collaboration. Everything get collaborated among large players, and that makes small companies or startup to be specialized by consuming as many resources available in the industry, and then making solution out of it. The same way, you keep yourself active in all these forums and all these professional networks. This will definitely help you in terms of keeping yourself visible to to your future employers. Wherever you're going to get employed, they will be seeing that, yeah, this guy is active from his college days, and he's keep constantly sharing his interest in iOS. And uh, that's something would largely help you. So I would suggest that, if, I'm sure every one of you may have, but if anyone doesn't hold, whether you are an IT or non-IT, make sure that you are holding your LinkedIn profile where you keep yourself active in it. um, I'm sure now we've been all driven by various other social networks that may be on your hobby side of yours, but the professional side of yours should stay clean in LinkedIn, not to share your religious beliefs, or not to support any political party inside your LinkedIn. Stay, I could see some post of such kind also, but stay very much about the technology, very much about the profession you want to be, and then excel in that. So with that, I thank every one of you. I hope I'm adding a small value to you. This kind of exposure may trigger you something which I believe will help you in long run. So with us, I am concluding my maybe a small talk on this. It became a one-side talk since I couldn't interact with you very well over this last 30 plus minutes. So if you have any questions, please do let me know. I'm happy to answer if anything I can do now. Thank you.
Yes, sir. There are many certification courses that students are doing nowadays. How we can differentiate by whether it is useful, or can you give some suggestions based on that? Useful certifications.
No, the certifications again. See, the certifications and all. I'm just calling it as like is a journey or is a path to excel to the area of interest. If someone want to be a kind of a SQL server, if someone's interest area is a database, if I'm interested in database, so I want to excel my database knowledge. How can I do that? And how can I show to the industry that yes, I'm good in SQL server? By choosing the certifications available in it. So in any technology, but like I'm just taking a SQL Server as an example, but the same thing applicable to any technology you choose. If your area of interest is even a project management, go for a project management certification. Even the project management forum and all nowadays, it's extending its support to be a student member in the project management associations. And later, once you become a profession, you can convert your student membership into professional membership, and you have various levels of certification even in the project management. So I would say that it is commonly, it's largely available in the internet. You would be able to find out, but the steps to get the certification is choose the area of interest. If J2U is Java's a sunset, way back 10 years or 12 years back, there are a lot of people been recommending or supporting to be a Sun certified Java programmer. Today it evolved. There are like React certification, Angular certification, React Native certification, Swift certification. So you choose the area and then you get yourself certified. Now the certification is a byproduct of your learning.
Can a fresher enter into the industry as a project manager, sir? If so,
Yes.
what are the skills?
Okay, so if someone want to be someone want to be a project manager, you choose that you're not, you don't want to spend your time in terms of writing a program or testing in a code, but you want to lead the project. So that's again, I'm making it very clear here. The legacy got changed. Earlier, the project manager being treated as a head of the project, or they are the one running everything. They hold a larger control on it. That's the kind of model I've been joined in. But over this year, it really evolved. Now the project manager is in another role in a project. So with that transition, if someone want to be in a project manager, you showcase that you are in a project manager. Our I don't know much about the latest curriculum, but I'm not saying largely the college curriculum covering the project management as a one focused discipline to get individual trained on it. So to get yourself trained on it, you can choose. There are multiple project management practices. You can do this PMI Project Management Institute or a Prince 2, or even the modern program project management, which goes very much on the Scrum based one. you can be a professional certified Scrum Master, or you can be a Scrum certified Scrum Manager. So those are the various type of project management practice. You can expose yourself towards that, and you can get yourself trained as a project manager, or as a trained professional in that. So with that, you would able to showcase to the company, yes, you are a potential candidate who can be a project manager to lead a project.
Thanks. One of our students wants to know that is choosing a domain important while in college? How does this domain impact our work?
See, domain is something you cannot learn from the college. Okay, domain is something you will be trained when you join in any company. See, I haven't seen ships in my life before I joined the company which I work for. I had seen ships in movies, or maybe in the notebooks, or in school books, but the domain I work today is shipping. It's, the imagination I had about a ship, and when I experience the ships, the large ships, whether it's a container carrier, or a kind of car, like a bulk carrier, oil tanker, it's totally different. So domain plays a role, but for a domain you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about a domain. You be in a material where you can able to learn any domain, by the way the company is training you. And the domain is something like today, it is not, even to some extent, we are working in a model where we are trying to divide everything into a small component, where we are keeping the individual even away from the domain. Now, I'll just make it in a way where I have to construct in a kind of in a system, and that system needs a set of web services, and set of UI, and set of maybe a kind of client side validation JavaScript codes, or a kind of interactive UI designs. I'll divide this into 3 different individual and get it developed. So here the domain become a least component. Someone who integrating this 3 is the only person who may need to know the domain. So I would say domain is something you don't have to worry about. You can you will be trained to any domain, whether you are in a banking, or in a kind of shipping, the one I'm working, logistics, or insurance, or manufacturing. Any domain you would be able to learn, I would say, in a very short span of time. Learning domain is much easier. It's like it's a storytelling, and especially if you happen to see as what happening in the domain, you easily get to learn to it. There is nothing complex in the domain, but making that domain into a program itself may be a difficult task. But domain is something I would say you don't have to worry.
Can you suggest some websites for our students for the certification courses about that?
No, I'm saying the certification. If someone want to be in a project management related professional, they can go for a PMI.org, which is for the Project Management Institute. Prince 2, that's I don't remember the website name, but Prince 2, or you can go CSM or PSM. So these are like, or Scrum Alliance.org. These are the it's largely available. You can just type the certificate you're looking for. You would be able to get it in the internet itself. And this is something like today, as what I'm saying, is actively been adopted by the project managers. But if it get evolved in coming days, you may find a lot more. Same thing. Any certificate which I say, it has been offered by the technology provider itself. If you are going for an Apple related certificates are available. Microsoft is the one who've been pointed in giving certification. I think that is another large team. They are getting benefited in both sides. One is, if anybody getting trained and getting certified, they also make sure that their technology being used in a larger area, and they also make money out of the certification. So you can look at Microsoft related certification on the Microsoft Developer Networks. Sun certification is there in the Sun website. Likewise, every technology which you are choosing, either the core company itself holding or providing various certificates in it. So that's something I would say it's very generic. Okay, I just I was a fresh graduate 20 years back. Okay, so I just want to keep this small message to every one of you. The opportunity is vast. It's again you ready to pick. don't worry about anything. The technology will constantly evolve. The selection criteria of when a company will change from time to time, but be ready to that. Just focus this 3 years what you are doing in your graduation, which is going to decide, or I'd say to large extent, which is going to help you to have a better life, or better part of the rest of your life. This is something you might be hearing it many times. You would have been told, like, score good marks in 10th, your life is easy. Score good marks in 12th, your life is easy. Now I'm saying, repeating the same thing here. Now focus your, this is a time where you've been exposed to many things, but spend this 3 years. I didn't do very good in my college. Sorry, I didn't do very good in my school, either a 10th standard or 12th standard. I Without any arrear, without a kind of decent mark I scored in my school days. The only 3 year I worked and I studied well, I would say, is my undergraduate. The undergraduation is a time where I put my maximum effort, and today I'm not harvesting them. And maybe I would say I would be able to harvest some more time as well. So for every one of you, I wish you that this 3 years or 4 years which you are spending under your undergraduation will help you large extent the rest of your career. Try to focus as much as possible. Maybe put a lot more discipline than what you hold in your 10th standard and 12th standard now, and you know and you would be enjoying that benefit coming days.
Thank you, Bala Murugan sir, for the motivational speech and informative presentation. We start with the foundation of the graduation, then what an industry wants and how to groom as an individual. All these things which you have touched with this is very important for our students to prepare themselves for their placements. And you have mentioned the various job opportunities in the IT industries. With the various roles also, it is definitely it would be very useful for our students. Thanks for spending your valuable time with us, sir.
It's my pleasure.
And in this occasion, a special thanks to Dr. K. Mahalakshmi Ma'am, Dean, KIT CIII, for organizing this webinar. And I wish to express my gratitude to our management, principal, vice principal, deans and faculty of various